is the main character of this story. She is a young woman with a passionate spirit for adventure and exploration. With a love for camping and nature, she sets off on a journey to discover new places and hidden treasures. Lily's curiosity and eagerness for discovery push her past her comfort zone, and she is constantly seeking new experiences. Despite any obstacles that come her way, she never loses her sparkle and always keeps her eyes on her goals. With a spirit of kindness and appreciation for the natural world, Lily's journey is one of hope, discovery, and joy. Lily's adventurous spirit is a defining part of her personality. She enjoys exploring new places and facing new challenges. She has a love for camping, spending nights beneath the stars with nothing but nature surrounding her. Lily is happiest when she is outdoors, surrounded by the beauty of nature, and the unknown potential for discovery. Her adventurous spirit fuels her passion for exploration, and she thrives on the newness of each destination she visits. Through her travels, Lily is constantly inspired and motivated by the joy of discovering new things and expanding her knowledge of the world around her. Exploration and discovery are the heart and soul of this story. The excitement of venturing into unfamiliar territory, the thrill of discovering hidden treasures, and the satisfaction of learning something new are what drives Lily's journey. The tone is one of wonder and curiosity, as Lily sets off into the unknown with an open heart and mind. The world is her playground, and she approaches each new adventure with a sense of wonder and reverence. As the story unfolds, the tone will reflect the highs and lows of Lily's journey as she encounters unexpected challenges and uncovers remarkable discoveries. Throughout it all, the tone will remain one of unbridled curiosity and a deep respect for the natural world. Lily's keen sense of adventure led her on a hiking trip deep into the lush forests of Killarney National Park. As she trekked through the verdant trails, she suddenly caught a glimpse of a glimmering, silvery cascade of water nestled in the distance. Intrigued by this sight, she quickly made her way towards it, her heart racing with anticipation. As she drew nearer, the sound of the rushing waterfall grew louder, filling her ears with its soothing melody. She approached the falls with caution, carefully descending down a steep, rocky path to get a closer look. The closer she got, the more she marveled at its impressive size, the power of the cascading water mesmerizing her. Lily's natural curiosity kicked in, and she began to explore the area, making her way to the bottom of the waterfall. She followed the banks of the river, which led her to a small, secluded pool at the base of the falls. The water was crystal clear, and the surrounding rocks were covered in velvety green moss, giving the area an ethereal feel. Overwhelmed by the sheer beauty of the scene before her, Lily decided to document her discovery, snapping pictures and videos to share with her friends and family. She stayed there for hours, marveling at the peace and serenity present in that hidden pocket of beauty in the midst of nature. From that day on, Lily continued to seek out and explore hidden treasures and natural wonders, living each day with a sense of gratitude for the world around her, always eager for new discoveries. Lily had always been one for adventure. From a young age, she found it hard to stay still, always eager to explore and see what was waiting for her around the next corner. The world, she knew, was full of hidden gems, and she was determined to uncover them all. As she stood at the base of the hidden waterfall, she took a moment to reflect on her love for adventure. There was something about the excitement of the unknown, the feeling of stepping into unfamiliar territory, that filled her with a sense of purpose and a rush of adrenaline. But as much as she loved adventure, Lily also knew that the natural world held a special place in her heart. The beauty of the great outdoors never ceased to take her breath away, and she often found herself in awe of the majesty of the mountains or the grandeur of the oceans. This hidden waterfall was a perfect example of the natural world's power and majesty. The way the water cascaded down the rocks, creating a shimmering curtain of mist, was a sight to behold. Lily felt small in comparison, dwarfed by the splendor around her, but also incredibly grateful for the opportunity to witness such beauty. That day, she realized that her love for adventure and the natural world were intertwined. Exploring new places allowed her to experience the wonder and magic of nature in all its glory. It was a feeling that would stay with her for the rest of her life, a love affair with the world around her that would never fade. Lily's latest adventure had taken her deep into the heart of an ancient forest. She had been hiking for hours when she noticed a glimmer of light shining off something in the distance. As she drew nearer, her eyes widened in amazement. It was a small, ornate chest lying in the grass. She couldn't believe her luck. Excitement coursed through her veins as she approached the chest, wondering what treasures it might contain. When she lifted the lid, a cloud of dust rose into the air, and she coughed several times before pulling herself together. Inside the chest was an old, faded map that seemed to lead to some hidden treasure. Her heart raced as she studied the map, trying to make sense of the intricate symbols and lines stretching across the page. Lily was enthralled with the prospect of stumbling upon a treasure hunt. As she studied the map, she realized that it led to a remote area, deep within the forest. She made up her mind to follow the map, no matter how challenging the journey may be. The adrenaline pumping through her veins, she set out on the path indicated by the map, braving dense undergrowth, high shrubs, and fallen trees. She was determined to reach the treasure, come what may. After several hours, she found herself on the banks of a narrow river, the walls of which were covered in dense vegetation. Lily pushed on, driven by her desire to find the treasure. Suddenly, she heard a noise, like something rustling in the bushes. Startled, she drew closer, only to find a small, hidden cave tucked away behind a waterfall. Trembling with excitement and anticipation, she entered the cave. Her eyes were taken in by a sight that completely exceeded her expectations, a glittering array of jewels and gold coins, stacked up in a haphazard pile, laying untouched for centuries. Lily couldn't believe her eyes. She had discovered her very own treasure trove. Overwhelmed with gratitude, she thanked her lucky stars that her love for adventure had led her to this once-in-a-lifetime experience. Lily had always been intrigued by tales of magical lands hidden away from the eyes of mortal men. When she found the treasure chest, it included a map with a trail leading to the very land she had always dreamed about. Filled with excitement and anticipation, she set off on the journey, determined to see the magical land with her own eyes. The journey was long and arduous, but Lily was not one to be deterred. Her heart beat with the thrill of adventure as she pushed on, battling the elements and struggling through tough terrains. Finally, after many days of travel, Lily came upon the land, and she was struck speechless by its beauty. It was like nothing she had ever seen before, a land of enchantment, where the sun shone like golden fire, and the breeze whispered secrets of the ages. As she explored the land, Lily was taken aback by the sheer variety of life that existed within the borders of this magical land. Every tree and bush had a story to tell. The flowers were different from anything she had ever seen before, and their aroma was both intoxicating and peaceful. Lily met an old sage in the magical land, who told her tales of iridescent wizards, living within the land. The wizards had been protecting all that was magical within the land since the beginning of time. No mortal had ever set eyes on them, but Lily was determined to try. With that in mind, she set off deeper into the land, her heart beating fast with anticipation. As she pushed deeper into the land, she noticed that the trees and plants were transforming, and each step was more enchanting than the last. Finally, Lily came upon the wizards, and they were everything she had ever imagined them to be. They were ethereal, with long robes of pure light and faces that glowed with wisdom and serenity. She spoke with them about her treasure hunt, her journey to the magical land, and how everything she had ever seen paled in comparison to what she beheld now. The wizards listened patiently, then showed Lily something even more miraculous than the beauty of the land. They showed her that the real treasure lay not in the chest, but in the journey that led her to that destination. The beauty of the magical land was simply a reflection of the beauty that lies within every adventurer's heart. From that day on, Lily knew the greatest treasure was in the journey itself. She continued to explore hidden corners of the world with an open heart, an open mind, and an insatiable. Lily had always loved spending time in the forest. The fresh air and the sound of birds chirping never failed to soothe her troubled mind. One beautiful day, she decided to take a picnic into the forest. Lily packed a basket full of delicious food and drinks, and she set off into the forest. She walked for hours, taking in the beauty around her. Finally, she found a peaceful spot where she could enjoy her picnic. She spread out a blanket under a large oak tree and laid out her feast. As she took a bite of a juicy apple, she noticed a cute little squirrel watching her from the nearby tree. The squirrel seemed curious, and Lily thought it was adorable. She put a piece of fruit on the blanket, hoping the little creature would come closer. To her delight, the squirrel scampered down from the tree and joined her on the blanket. It nibbled on the fruit and chattered happily, as if it was having a great time at the picnic. Lily was thrilled. She had always loved animals, and this little squirrel was simply too cute. She spoke to the animal as if it could understand her, telling it about her adventures and the places she had been. And in response, the squirrel would chitter and coo and occasionally nuzzle his head against her hand. As they shared the food, Lily felt like she had made a new friend. The squirrel stayed with her for the rest of the picnic, playfully scampering around the blanket and nibbling on bits of food. Eventually, late afternoon began to set in, and it was time for Lily to pack up and head home. She said goodbye to her little friend, promising to come back again someday for another picnic. As she walked back through the forest, the peace she felt from the picnic lingered. The entire experience had been an unexpected delight, and she was grateful for the chance to share her meal with the little squirrel. From that day on, Lily would always remember how a simple picnic had led to an unforgettable afternoon with an unexpected companion. Lily had always loved being outside surrounded by nature, but the picnic with the squirrel was something truly special. As she sat on her blanket and ate her food, she was struck by the peacefulness of the forest. The sound of the breeze rustling through the leaves, the birds singing in the distance, and the soft chattering of the little squirrel all combined to create a symphony of tranquility. As she sat there, Lily became keenly aware of her connection to the natural world around her. In the busyness of everyday life, it was easy to forget the way that nature can restore balance to the chaos of modern living. But here, in the middle of a peaceful forest, surrounded by foliage and wildlife, Lily felt a sense of contentment as if everything was right in the world. The little squirrel was the icing on the cake. Interacting with the playful animal brought Lily even closer to the rhythms of nature. Watching the squirrel as it scampered, explored and nibbled its food brought her joy, as she delighted in the squirrel's curious and entertaining ways. As the day progressed, Lily found herself lost in thought as she relaxed on the blanket. She realized that time in nature was not just good for the soul, but it also reminded us of the importance of taking care of our environment. The forest with its beauty and wildlife reminded her of the need to protect and cherish the earth, for today and generations yet to come. That simple picnic with the squirrel had a profound impact on Lily. It was a reminder that nature was more than just trees and animals. It could be an opportunity for renewal, and to feel connected to a world that extends beyond ourselves. From that day on, Lily made more of an effort to explore the great outdoors, to enjoy the peace and tranquility that only nature can provide. Lily loved camping. It was a chance for her to disconnect from the world and immerse in the beauty of nature. She had planned her trip for weeks, and was excited to finally be out in the wilderness, with nothing but her tent and nature for company. However, as the first day of her camping trip drew to a close, she noticed clouds gathering in the sky. Soon after, the sky opened up, and the rain began pouring down. For a moment, Lily felt disheartened by the prospect of being confined to her tent because of the rain, but she decided to make the best of it. As she huddled inside the tent, she could hear the raindrops tapping on the tent fabric, and the wind rustling the branches of the trees nearby. But despite the dreary weather, Lily felt a certain sense of calm wash over her. She started to set up her tent, taking care to make it as waterproof as possible. As she worked, she listened to the steady rhythm of the rain and found herself mesmerized by the sound. She smiled as the rain seemed to wash over the forest, effectively washing away the stress from her mind. Lily took out a book and began reading, while intermittently pausing to listen to the rain. The soft pitter-patter of the raindrops had a soothing effect on her, and soon she felt herself drifting off to sleep. Despite the fact that the rain continued to fall, Lily felt comforted by the sound of it. It became her companion in the tent and reminded her that there is peace and beauty even in the middle of a storm. The rain continued well into the night, but Lily was able to fall into a deep slumber, cocooned in her tent as the gentle rain lulled her to sleep. The next morning, as the rain slowed and started to taper off, Lily emerged from her tent. She surveyed the earth, now nourished and refreshed from the storm. It was time to start another day of adventure in the wilderness, but the night spent in her tent listening to the rain would always hold a special place in her heart. Some people might think that camping in the rain would be a disaster, but for Lily, it was an adventure she loved. There was something about the rain that made the forest come alive, and Lily relished the way that it changed the environment around her. When she woke up on the morning of her camping trip, and saw that it was raining, she felt a thrill of excitement. It was like the forest was calling to her, challenging her to immerse herself in the beauty of nature, even during a storm. Lily loved the way that the rain brought out the colors in the forest. The greens of the trees and plants became darker and more vibrant, while the browns and oranges of the soil and leaves became richer and deeper. The sound of the rain was another reason why Lily loved camping in the rain. As she hiked through the forest, or sat under a tarp, she could hear the patter of the rain on the leaves or the ground. It was as if the forest was singing to her, a gentle lullaby that soothed her soul. Even the smells of the forest changed during the rain. The scents of earth and wood were intensified, and the air felt fresher and more alive. But perhaps the thing Lily loved most about camping in the rain was the sense of adventure it provided. The rain made everything more challenging, from setting up the tent to cooking meals, to hiking up steep inclines, yet it also made everything feel more rewarding. When she finally settled down in her tent for the night, Lily felt a sense of pride in herself for braving the storm and making the most of the experience. She knew that the memories of this trip, with all its challenges and joys, would stay with her for a lifetime. For Lily, camping in the rain was less about the weather, and more about the beauty and adventure that came with it. It was a reminder to embrace nature's ever-changing beauty, even in the face of adversity. Lily was out in the park one afternoon when she noticed some movement out of the corner of her eye. She turned and saw a small family of bunnies scampering across the grass. Intrigued, she followed them, wanting to see where they were headed. To her surprise, the bunnies led her to a cozy spot hidden in some nearby bushes. At first, Lily was hesitant to approach them, not wanting to startle them. But as she sat down and watched them, the bunnies relaxed around her. Before long, Lily found herself playing with the bunnies, tickling their noses, and watching them hop around and chase each other. It was like she was part of their world, just another forest creature enjoying the beauty of nature. She was amazed by the bunnies' agility and grace as they zigzagged around each other and played hide and seek. It was a perfect moment of joy, and for a while, Lily forgot about everything else in the world. Her only concern was these little creatures, their big, wandering eyes gazing up at her. The hours spent playing with the bunnies flew by, and before Lily knew it, it was time to head back home. She bid the bunnies farewell, and as she walked away, she felt a sense of pure contentment and appreciation for the beauty of nature. She knew that she had found a special connection with these creatures, and she vowed to come back and visit them again. For Lily, playing with the bunnies was more than just a fun activity, it was a moment of clarity, a moment of connection with the natural world. She had always loved spending time outside, but this experience showed her that there was always more joy to be found in the simplest things, in the small creatures that surrounded her every day. Lily was mesmerized by the bunnies she had encountered. Their playfulness, their agility, and their adorable little faces had captured her heart. It wasn't just their cuteness that had made an impression, however, it was the way that they interacted with each other, and the joy they brought to her. As she watched the bunnies hop and play, she realized that these creatures had a camaraderie that was both simple and pure. They were a tightly bonded family, playing together, feeding together, and grooming each other. Lily was moved by the way that the bunnies seemed to take care of each other, and she felt a pang of envy for the connection they shared. For a moment, she wished that she could be part of their world, a part of their supportive and loving community. As she continued to watch the bunnies, the sense of camaraderie and connection she saw in them made her reflect on her own relationships with others. She thought of the people in her life who had lifted her up, who had made her feel that same sense of joy and belonging she saw in the bunnies. For Lily, the bunnies were a reminder of the importance of joy and connection, and how sometimes the simplest things, such as the playful camaraderie of animals, could bring the greatest happiness. As she mused on the marvel of the moment, Lily felt a sense of gratitude flood over her, for the small moments of connection that made life beautiful. She knew that wherever she went, she would always make time to appreciate the natural joy and camaraderie of the animal world. On a bright summer day, Lily and her friends were hiking through the woods, exploring nature as they always loved to do. They had spent hours taking in the beauty of the forest around them, but were starting to feel restless and eager for a new adventure. As they continued on their hike, looking for a new path to explore, they stumbled upon a hidden cave. It was tucked away behind a large rock formation and was so well concealed that they had never noticed it before. Despite their initial trepidation, Lily and her friends were intrigued. They approached the entrance of the cave, peering inside with curiosity. It was dark and damp, but the shaft of sunlight that streamed in through a small hole high above hinted at hidden treasures inside. Without a second thought, they decided to explore further, venturing deeper into the cave's winding passages. As they walked, they were amazed by the stunning stalactites and stalagmites that glittered in the dim light. The walls of the cave were lined with minerals and rocks of all colors, making their adventure like a journey through a rainbow. Gradually, the cave started to widen, and soon they saw that it opened up into a large central chamber. There, illuminated by beams of sunlight filtering in through the holes in the cave's ceiling, was a hidden treasure trove. The cavern was filled with sparkling jewels, glittering gold, and priceless artifacts. It was like their own secret treasure trove, and they could hardly believe their eyes. For hours they explored the cave, admiring the treasures that lay before them and imagining all the amazing adventures they could have with them. With grins on their faces, they started to fill their backpacks with a few of the smaller treasures. As they turned to leave, Lily and her friends felt a sense of awe at what they had discovered. They knew they would keep the cave a well-guarded secret, and agreed to come back to visit it whenever they could, to explore its secrets and treasure anew. For Lily and her friends, finding the secret treasure cave was an adventure that they would never forget. It was a reminder that, even in the midst of an ordinary day, there was always the possibility of discovering something magical and amazing, hidden just out of sight. After discovering the secret cave, Lily and her friends couldn't wait to set off on a new adventure. They were excited at the thought of finding something new and unexpected, something that would fill them with awe and wonder. As they walked through the woods, they kept their eyes peeled for any signs of hidden treasures, scanning the trees and rocks for any unusual shapes or patterns. They followed every creek and trail, hoping that each turn would bring them closer to their next adventure. As the sun began to set and the sky turned to a deep shade of orange, they heard a faint rustling in the distance. Intrigued, they followed the sound, pushing through a dense thicket of bushes until they found themselves standing at the foot of a steep hill. They looked up, taking in the breathtaking sight before them. Perched atop the hill was a magnificent castle, its turrets and battlements standing tall against the sky. It was unlike anything they had ever seen before, and they were filled with a sudden sense of anticipation. Without a moment to lose, they set off on their ascent, scrambling up the steep slope with all the energy they could muster. As they drew closer to the castle's walls, they could hear the sound of music and laughter drifting down to them on the wind. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, they reached the castle's gates. They pushed them open, sensing, almost immediately, that they were about to embark on a grand adventure. Inside, they found a bustling courtyard filled with all manner of people and creatures. They saw knights and princesses dancing to the sound of lutes, minstrels singing tales of valiant heroes, and magicians conjuring shimmering spells. In this magical world, they knew they had found the adventure they had been searching for. They danced and sang along with the people of the castle, lost in the excitement and wonder of it all. As the night drew to a close and they began to make their way back home, Lily and her friends knew that they would never forget this extraordinary adventure. They knew that it was just the beginning of a lifetime of discovering new and exciting places, and they were already tingling with anticipation at the thought of the next adventure that awaited them. Lily had always been fond of nature, and the beautiful hidden waterfall was one of her favorite spots in the woods. She had discovered it years ago by chance and had been captivated by its beauty ever since. One sunny afternoon, as she was wandering through the woods, she decided to visit her favorite spot once again. She trekked through the woods, taking in the smells of the forest and the sounds of birds chirping. As she got closer to the waterfall, she knew she was getting close. She could hear the sound of water crashing down on rocks and the gentle breeze whispering through the trees. The anticipation of seeing the waterfall again made her heart race with excitement. Finally, as she rounded the bend, the waterfall came into view, and Lily was entranced by its beauty once again. The water cascaded down the rocks, foam and mist rising up into the air, creating a magical mist that bathed the area in a cool, refreshing mist. Lily sat down on the rocks, breathing in the fresh, crisp air and taking in the sights and sounds of the waterfall. The sound of the water was like music to her ears, and she allowed herself to be lost in the moment, free from the bustle of everyday life. It was a perfect moment, and Lily was glad to have rediscovered this beautiful place once again. As she sat there, taking in the beauty around her, she realized that there were so many more hidden gems just waiting to be discovered somewhere in the woods. With this thought, she stood up, ready for her next adventure in the forest. As Lily breathes in the fresh air and takes in the sights and sounds of the hidden waterfall, she feels a deep sense of awe and wonder at the beauty of nature. The waterfall is a testament to the power and grandeur of the natural world, a place that fills her with both peace and excitement. The water cascades down the rocks in shimmering sheets, the sunlight refracting through the droplets, casting tiny rainbows against the surrounding rocks and trees. The rushing water fills the air with a soft roar, bringing with it a sense of serenity and calmness. The surrounding area is a lush green, with trees and bushes hugging the edges of the waterfall. The leaves rustle in the gentle breeze, creating delicate patterns of light and shadow on the ground. The birds sing their songs, each call unique to the species, adding to the symphony that is the natural world. As Lily looks around, she feels small and insignificant in the grand scheme of things, but at the same time, she feels connected to everything around her. The beauty and majesty of nature remind her that she is a part of something much larger, and that everything in the world is connected in some way or another. She closes her eyes and takes a deep breath, feeling the cool mist from the waterfall on her face. As she exhales, she feels a sense of peace wash over her, and feels grateful for this moment of stillness in the midst of a busy world. In that moment, she knows that there are countless hidden gems like the waterfall, waiting to be discovered by those who take the time to seek them out. She makes a promise to herself to explore more of nature's beauty, to seek out new hidden spots, and to always be reminded of the wonder and magic of the natural world.